Hocutt-Ellington Memorial Adult Craft DIY. Today's craft, we're going to do a recycled magazines, and we're going to make the picture frames out of them today. Today I'm going to show you also the 5 easy steps that you can do with me, or you can set up some time for later on to do it by yourself. So you ready? Let's go. Today's crafts project supplies that you'll need, you're going to need some scissors, you're going to need an old magazine, you'll need some glue, you'll need a picture frame. If you don't have an old picture frame, you can use either cardstock, even a cereal box, just cut out the hole like you would for a picture. And you're also going to need that picture. Today I have my dog Thor. So you ready? The first steps we're going to have is we're going to cut out some triangle shape magazines. Doesn't matter which side you use, doesn't matter which color, whether it has writing on there or advertisement. But it's easier for me, I found out, that if you start with the fattest side first and roll them towards that inner part, we're going to roll, make it into a tube shape. And then if you use either your Q-tip or your paintbrush, we're going to dab just a little bit of glue on that end, and we're going to put just a little bit on that tail of that tube that we have, and we're going to seal it shut. We're just going to glue it together, we're going to roll it tight, and we're going to make a whole bunch of these little tubes. So as you're rolling, we're probably going to need at least 50 of them just to start. So it seems like a lot, it's going to take a little bit of a time, but just be patient, it's worth it, all the many colors that comes out. So once you get all your tubes rolled and glued and that tail tucked in, just go ahead and set those to the side. Once you have either your cardstock, your cereal box that's cut out, or even that old picture frame, we're going to take a scrap piece of paper from that magazine. And what we're going to do is we're going to cover our whole frame with that glue, and we're going to glue that magazine paper flat on that frame. We're going to glue that on there. So let's go ahead and do that now. So I'm just putting some glue on my frame, and I'm going to cover that whole frame with the glue. And once you get your whole frame covered with that glue, I'm just going to add that piece of paper that's right to it, and I'm going to let that dry just for a second. The reason why we do that is because once we start gluing our tubes on there, this is going to cover any of the boo-boos. This is going to cover maybe the wooden background or whatever color our frame is. This will also hide any of that spot, so that way it's going to make it look complete. I'm going to take my scissors and I'm just going to cut along the edges right around that picture frame. And my tubes are still drying at the moment, which is good. I want them to dry pretty well. And you can do your tubes, you can go ahead and roll your tubes ahead of time. 50 of them will take just a little bit of time. All right, now I've got my frame covered. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna press, not extremely hard, but I'm gonna make that little crease where my frame ends and I have that opening for my center. And I'm gonna cut out the place where my picture is gonna go. So I'm gonna go ahead and just cut out. I'm gonna try to show you as I'm doing. Let me get my scissors in there. I'm just gonna cut along where that opening is so I can easily add my picture for later. So now I will be able to add my picture for later. Once I have my frame that's complete and it's dried a little bit, now's the fun part. So what we're going to do is we are going to start adding our rolled paper. The easiest thing that I found out is if you take and glue one directly in the center of the top and the bottom and all 4 of the sides, it makes it extremely easy, and I can just fill in each section at a time. You ready? Let's begin. So I'm gonna take my Q-tip or my paintbrush. I'm gonna glue right in the middle of that. If you use a little bit of glue, if you're heavy-handed on it, it's okay. It'll allow for the tube and the others beside it to stay right in place as it hardens and as it dries. So here we go. I've got all 4 points. Let's get that more centered. So there you go. This is the first step. We're rolling right along. I've got each of these in the center and I'm just gonna fill them in at a time. So as you see, I've done the first step here, I've done the second step here. Now I'm gonna finish this area and I'm almost done. And again, I'm gonna be a little heavy with the glue. And I'm gonna just kind of cover the area where I'm gonna put all those tubes. All right. So you can add any colors that you like. It's kind of fun. Be creative. That way it kind of matches with any season, any holidays, maybe birthdays, maybe a special type of decor. You can roll the papers, find all the blues or greens or purples. If you have a beach house, maybe it's something like with the sand color or the ocean blue color. This is also a great way to kill some of those boring moments when you have nothing to do. Now when you get into the corners, sometimes the corners can be a little tricky. And what I found is if you kind of put that one in the corner, it's okay if it hangs a little low. Try to find a small one if you can, and just kind of like squeeze it in there. You want to fill that gap in the corner so it's not, what's the word I'm looking for? So it's not gaped open. You want to try to fill it if you can. And if you have to, it's okay to kind of trim down a little tube, cut it in half, and maybe make a smaller piece so it fills that gap. I am going to add some more glue to make sure that that little piece stays right in that gap. And it also benefits that we covered our frame first, so that way we don't see the boo-boos. None of that wood grain is showing through. Okay, and now we have our picture frame. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let this dry just a little bit. Give it maybe about 10 minutes, let it dry, just using Elmer's glue. Once we let that dry, I am going to add a thin coat of glue on there. That way to make sure that it connects with the rolled tubes beside it, because I want them to stay in place. Just in case it gets bumped, I don't want them to knock off. Once that's done, I'm going to take my dog Thor and I'm going to add him to the picture once all the glue's dried. Once all the glue's dried, Thor's going to go right in there and I will hang him up and he'll be a nice present for someone or just to keep for a keepsake. And this is your DIY project for the library. Have a good day.